we did have such a bizarre loop-de-loop over the weekend when it came to Kim Mulkey. And I guess we can put this on the Hot Mess Express because it was just a lot to deal with after the Washington Post article comes out right before LSU's game against UCLA. And the Washington Post article I don't like calling it a nothing burger because I did not feel that the Washington Post's big profile on Kim Mulkey was a nothing burger. Was it a hit piece? No. Did it have any sort of massive bomb falling from the sky that was going to require like a significant response from Mulkey and LSU and other people within that team? Like, no. But was it a very well-written profile on a polarizing coach who is damn good at her job? Like, I've been very open on my thoughts towards Kim Mulkey and her politics and her persona and the homophobia that allegedly, reportedly runs rampant within her existence. But she's a damn good coach. She has 7 total championships between her playing time and as a coach in college basketball, both from her time at Baylor and then now at LSU. And that's undeniable. And so I really enjoy reading profile pieces on great coaches. I enjoyed reading pieces on Bob Knight back in the day. I enjoy reading profiles on Nick Saban. I revisited a piece on Pat Summitt for all of those who say, well, why now? Why did they want to do this to a woman right in the middle? Is this because she's a woman? No, it's because this is what we do. Like, she's in the middle of attempting to go back-to-back for a national championship, and this was a look into who she is, and by God, you now understand that she has held grudges her entire life. One of the things from the article you learn is that she hasn't spoken to her father since her wedding day, and I guess we kind of knew that. I did not read Kim Mulkey's book, so I was not aware of that story, but he left her family for another woman, and she took it very much to heart, and he still goes to her games. And I think that's one of the things where she has like her response, right, where she says she's going to hire the best defamation lawyer in the country, and you read the article and you're like, why? Many have pointed out like she just doesn't like the lack of control, and this writer did talk to various, family members, former players, but talked to her father, who says that he still goes to LSU games despite the fact that his daughter has not spoken to him in 37 years. But you see the grudge there. You see the grudge of the old athletic director or president at Louisiana Tech who wouldn't give her a long contract. You see the grudge against former players who she won't even speak to when they come to like reunion type games. And if you have an issue with Kim Mulkey, you're going to have an issue with her for the rest of eternity. It was a good piece. It just wasn't what people wanted it to be or expected it to be. Did you end up reading it? I had a free read.
No, not yet. I'll see if I got any free reads. But from the way you're describing it, there's nothing in there.
There's nothing new.
There's nothing in there from what you're saying.
I disagree. That's because if you are there's nothing in there for us. Maybe we follow sports for a living. We talk about sports each and every day. But if you're a casual college basketball fan or a casual sports fan, and we've talked excessively about how many new eyeballs are on women's basketball, perhaps you do not know the full story of Kim Mulkey. Perhaps all you see is her showing up in some crazy, wild, Liberace-esque outfit for these games, and you wonder, like, who is this woman in sequins? And then you read this article, and you're like, oh, there's a lot there. There's the whole notion of, can a tough, and I hate using the word tough in it, but like a Bob Knight-esque coach still exist in 2024? Is there a place for that? A coach who everything is on winning, and yes, your players are getting achievements and getting results and achieving success, but at what cost, and ultimately, like, what kind of relationship do you have with them later? I find that interesting.
When you say Bob Knight,
sure.
The only interesting thing to me about Knight, the only thing that like perked up, there's interesting things about everybody, but the thing that I cared about was, okay, is he abusing players? What does abusing players look like? Is any of that in there?
She used to shame them with weigh-ins, which I think from a women's standpoint, that's a difference between women and men. Like, if I, as a woman and as a former athlete and as somebody who had friends who played for a coach who made them do weigh-ins, and I know the psychological effect that still has on them today, like, in my opinion, I don't think there's a place for that. You don't have to get girls standing on scales in front of other people and use their weight as a tactic to try to get them to play harder. There are other ways to coach. There are other ways to inspire results than doing stuff like that. There are other ways than like shutting out players. And there's a whole story about one player who was suspended and why was she actually suspended. Baylor claimed that it was because she smoked weed. The player always felt that it was because she was gay and she got in a fight with another player, and just how you handle situations like that, I think speaks to you as a person. And there have been many questionable people who have been great coaches. That's not new to sports. And I just thought this further painted that with Kim Mulkey. But the funny thing was, by the end of, or ironic I should say, is by the end of Saturday after the LSU UCLA game, like everyone's on Kim Mulkey's side, because she calls out not the Washington Post article, but the LA Times op-ed that came out previewing the LSU UCLA game, in which this writer for the LA Times, and if we can put the article piece up, this was the first two graphs. He said, "This isn't just a basketball game, it's a reckoning. Picking sides goes well beyond school allegiance. Do you prefer America's sweethearts or its dirty debutantes, milk and cookies, or Louisiana hot sauce?" Have you ever picked between milk and cookies and Louisiana hot sauce?
Yeah, I start the meal with Louisiana hot sauce on something, and then for dessert, I get me some milk and cookies.
But it's not really
They
an
go
either-or
hand
conversation.
What are we
It's
doing
kind of
here?
like a...
What type of dweeb are you?
A big one. A massive... Do you know how big of a dweeb you have to be to get the collective voice saying, yeah, you know what? Kim Mulkey has a point in this one. Insanity. And she comes to the defense of her players, and she calls it sexist. She went as far as saying, you can criticize coaches all you want. That's our business. You can come at us and say you're the worst coach in America. I hate you. I hate everything about you. We expect that. It comes with the territory. But the one thing I'm not going to let you do, I'm not going to let you attack young people. And there were some things in this commentary that you should be offended by as women. It was so sexist, and they don't even know it.
The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hart, live every weekday at 8 a.m.